Okay, guys, let's get into the box office. Is this the end of the world? Is the world ending right now? Why are films not making any money? Right. So, Furiosa comes out last week. I think we can all agree, pretty banging film. So, can someone let me know for its opening weekend, why on earth is it only making 26 mil? That is opening weekend. So it was a Memorial weekend as well over in the States. So I think they had an extra day, I think. But with that extra day, it ended up making 32. So we'll just keep it as the weekend. 26 it's made, opening weekend, and the following weekend just gone, it's managed to top 10 mil for the weekend. So that's like a 60% drop from week one to week two. What the hell is going on, guys? Why are people not going out to the cinema? This has obviously started when The Fall Guy was released. I think some would argue that's maybe the first big film of the summer. But I wouldn't say it bombed, but it certainly did not make the money that they were expecting it to make. I think that was around 20 mil opening weekend as well. But a film like Furiosa, which in my head is a staple film. Like, there's three main films I was looking forward to this year was Dune Part 2, Joker, and Furiosa. They're the three biggies for me this year. And I thought, like, oh, it's a no-brainer. They're all going to make a shit ton of money. I'd have lost so much money if you were like, yeah, how much money do you think it's going to make? I was like, oh, well, easy, 45 easy. Do you know what I mean? But no, not at all. I know some people have come out and sort of said, oh, which is true, like Fury Road didn't make a lot of money, but it did make like 40 to 45 mil in that opening weekend, you know, and people were saying that wasn't that good of an opening weekend. But back in 2015, I think we were at the height of the sort of fandom in all sorts of aspects, whether it was Star Wars, Marvel, DC, whatever. These tentpole films were making billions, and it was just like next $1 billion film added to the billion club, another one. It was insane. So I think we've got a bit of a skewed opinion of what the box office is like in reality, off them numbers back then. But then the pandemic hits, and I think Warner Brothers are such a big part of this whole thing, because by them releasing day and day, so releasing Dune Part 1 to obviously it wasn't, was it the same for us? Was it the same for us? No. Dune got released in cinemas for us over here. But the fact that they were putting cinema films
didn't they put it on Max? Did they put it on a streaming service same day?
They put it on Max day one. In America, yeah. But to me, that is mind bending. It's mind blowing. Like, imagine back in the day, Spider-Man 2, you know, like 2004, whatever it is. That's going to be coming on ITV at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? But you got to pay like 20 quid for it. There'd be a lot of people that do it, and I think people have got so used to being at home watching these films on their amazing TVs and stuff now. Like, you know, a good TV is sort of 10 a penny now. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to spend a lot to get a really good setup at home these days. I know we're going through hard times, inflation, stuff like that. But in my eyes, take my cinema, for instance, View. The ticket is £5. They're not going to lower it any more than £5. Like, no. To me, that's pretty cheap as it is. So I really don't understand what's going on. I think that the most people I've seen in a cinema for the last couple of years was when I did the whole Barbenheimer event thing last year. So we went to see Oppenheimer and Barbie. Like, that cinema was absolutely insane. It did feel like we were back in the old days of going to watch the Avengers opening night and stuff like that, and you've got a crowded theatre at 12 o'clock. We're just not in that time frame anymore, in that sort of frame of mind. But yeah, I don't know if it's ticket prices, guys. Like, because to me they're just not that expensive. Like they're really not. I think like £5 to me isn't like a deal breaker. I might be way off here. Like I am one half of this podcast that does not have any children, so I'm not taking like 3 kids to the cinema. Do you know what I mean? Then it's changing. Then the price is changing. I get it. So Andy, I know you've got a giant monologue prepared for us when it comes to this box office. I know you've been dying to tell us what the crack is. You know the secrets. Why is no one going to the cinema?
No, I don't know the secrets, but I just think it's a, as I said to you guys in text, it's a hot tatty at the moment, as we call in Scotland. Like it's a trending topic, and rightly so, because it's worrying. It's worrying for us movie lovers. It's worrying for the industry, and in a wider extent, like the arts going forward, because it's going to dictate what we get, what we don't get, and shape type of movies and type of content that's made. So I think it's something that's really worth talking about, and I'm keen to know what your guys' thoughts are on it. But yeah, I think the box office thing, I think to start off is like, when did it become a thing? Is it just me who thinks that box office being reported is a kind of modern thing? Like, I don't remember growing up, or even 5-10 years ago, I don't remember media reporting about how much something's made within going, oh my god, this movie's only made this in the first weekend.
The first time I started hearing about box office sort of punditing was the John Campea show, and him. That's when I first started on the internet. I started hearing people reporting how much money films were making and stuff like that. So it's probably been like the last maybe 5 or 6 years they've been doing it on the internet. But it's like the big film, reviewers, not reviewers, like pundits who talk about like up and coming things and how much money movies are making. So it's. I feel like it's only been around for like the last maybe half a decade.
Yeah, because I don't think I don't ever remember anyone who in the out with the last like 5 years. It's certainly still not happening with casual movie fans. They are not talking about box office. No. They're not saying, they're not going, Euros has only took 20 million, so I don't think I'll bother going to see that. Must be shit. Like this is, but that's the media's pushing that and fueling that fire, which isn't helping. Yeah. So, but yeah, because moviegoers don't care. They pick something they want to go and see. They go and see it. They're entertained or they're not. They don't give a shit how much it's making. That shouldn't be a concern of the consumer. At the end of the day, that's for the studios and stuff. But yeah, it's became this big thing. But it's just so worrying, and I think there's many reasons as to why box office is dying. But sadly, it is a money game with these things. And as we just talked about there, off camera, like Furiosa is a good starting point, because as we know, George Miller has already got a script for Mad Max: The Wasteland, which is a kind of continuation / prequel, whatever you want to call it, to Fury Road, but centered around Max, which would probably tie the new trilogy together. But he's already said, and I've seen him in numerous interviews saying, people have asked him about The Wasteland, and he said, well, we'll see how this does. And he's basically alluded to the fact that nothing's set in stone. It will depend how well this movie does. So you can pretty much, looking at it just now, sitting at, according to IMDb, Furiosa is sitting at 118 million. It's not even made back its estimated budget yet, and that's before you factor in marketing costs and all that. So I don't see it happening. And if it does happen, it might happen as it'll be something that's less risk averse financially. So it'll end up being a 8-part series on like Apple or Netflix or Disney or something like that. It will not be a cinematic event, because they won't trust it again. They won't trust the franchise at the box office, which is a shame. But I could talk about this all day, so I'll put it out to someone else. But like, what are you guys like? What do you guys think the reason for the box office decline has been? Why are people not like going to the cinema anymore? Do you guys think?
Tarek, you go for it, man. You go for it, because you've been to see Garfield with, is it your son? Just to put it into sort of perspective, though, like, is that an expensive deal? Do you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? The animation in Garfield is like I was watching something that was about, I won't even say 10 years ago, because some Pixar stuff and some Illumination stuff from 10 years ago is still good. Like, this felt like something that should have been like how the Saturday morning cartoons are now.
Right.
But it was just like an hour and a half. Even my kid was bored. Like I showed Paul a picture of my son Sammy's. I just said, like, looking at the screen, like, what am I actually watching? And that's a 3-year-old. And so me, you know, sometimes I get a kick out of watching these animation films, but you know, it was like, I don't know. And the thing is that the screening, the auditorium was kind of packed, and I was like, wow, okay, fair enough. But then, you know, I don't know. It's a real tricky situation because I work with a lot of people who I can't talk to about films, about stuff that I like. And funny enough, even music, because half of the time people are like, "What's that? I never heard of it." And so if they see a trailer or, you know, the advertisement on the side of a bus or something like that, in all honesty, they're probably thinking Furiosa looks really fucking strange and they don't want to watch that. If you think about it, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we
yeah.
think about we think about Dune 2. How much did that make? Like,
Just over 700 million.
Not a huge amount.
It's the highest earner this year, though.
Yeah, and so, but that's a sci-fi film. Yeah, it you know, aesthetically, you know, it looks cool as fuck. You know, and everything about it, it's got a following. Mad Max has a following as well, but you know, with you know, you put Chris Hemsworth in the film, you think, okay, are people going to go watch it, you know, for this guy? Apparently not now. You know, numbers are showing it, right? But another thing, what happens with films, how it's been happening recently with, I think it's safe to say, with about 80% of the films that will come out in cinema, within a month or even at that, it's available to buy digitally. Yeah. And then what happens with that, when it's available to buy digitally, there are people who wait for the people to purchase that, and then they can go illegally stream it online in 4K. So, and then they're blaming that, oh, films aren't doing too good. It's because you're taking off cinemas too quick. It's because you no longer get, like, let's be honest, you no longer get a fucking stream online that has got a camera in front of the fucking screen and it's like this. You don't get that anymore.
You don't need it.
Wait a month. You wait a month, and you're like, I'm going to watch it in 4K now. It's like Monkey Man that came out to purchase digitally. I swear it was like 3 weeks after.
3 weeks. 3 weeks after it at the cinemas.
And you think to yourself,
you used to have to wait 3 months.
Yeah. What difference would it have made if it just came out on Netflix how it was supposed to? Like, seriously, in all honesty, what difference would it have made? Right. Yes. And this is the era that we're living in. So either people want to watch something that is a biopic, right? Oppenheimer. And then, you know, people want to watch something, Barbie. Barbie got like the utmost marketing. It was crazy. It was everywhere. You couldn't be, I'm sorry to say, you couldn't be taking a shit and check your phone without Barbie popping up everywhere. Right? What am I looking at Barbie for? You know? So, and then this whole thing that they, you know, that rival thing that they did, you know, that helped a lot. And then Dune 2 came out, but Dune 2 sci-fi film, right? People are like, wow, this looks cool as fuck. I haven't seen the first one. I'm going to go watch the first one. Yeah, I want to watch the second one. If you, in all honesty, if you didn't grow up with Mad Max and you ain't used to that wasteland weird shit, inspired by Mad Max, that has all that weird shit, but they just cranked it up to 100 with heads exploding and all sorts of things, people will find it weird. They don't want to watch something weird. And even when I mention Mad Max, you know, it's been around for ages. People don't even know. And you say, oh, Mel Gibson. They're like, who? I'm like, oh, shit, good Lord. All right, yeah, I'm just going to stop. What are you watching at the moment? I'm watching the fucking Kardashians on Disney Plus. I'm like, is that why you have Disney Plus?
That's it, man.
Is that why you have Disney Plus? So you can watch that reality show? The amount of stuff that's on there that is fucking good. Yeah, like I recently I caught up with the Planet of the Apes films. I was telling Paul about it, and yeah, they're on Disney Plus. But if there's a new Planet of the Apes film coming out, and people are like, "Oh, what's that about?" It's like, oh, do you have Disney Plus? Yeah, I do. What the fuck are you like? You don't know about these films? They're on there. Watch it. Oh, I don't know. It's talking. It's talking monkeys. I'm like, why am I talking to people like? You know, but it's just a sad thing. It's, you know, it's almost as though a film comes out and that's, fingers crossed, it makes good money so we can get another installment. You know, and it's sad that it's got to that point. But and I'm sorry if I'm going on a little too much, but it's the whole thing about video games as well. Video games now have Hollywood level budgets for their games. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying, oh, you don't need realistic games to sell. No, you do. Because if you're pushing hardware, if you're promising a certain level of visual fidelity and acting and everything, right? The Last of Us wouldn't have done as good if it didn't look and play how it does. Yeah? No way. No way. Yeah? And people are going to come out, I forgot who it was. I won't mention the name, but I think, Paul, you commented on it when I reposted it on Twitter about the guy saying, no, this isn't the case. You know, games are taking too long to come out, just like films. You know, we don't need it to be like that. What happened? Listen, it's the industry that we're in now. Yeah. So that unfortunately, I'm going to wait for a game to go from 70 quid to 20 quid and then I'm going to buy it. It's the same with films. Yeah. I'm going to wait for it to come on digital so I can just download it or just stream it. And if I like it, I'll buy it from CEX when it goes to about a tenner or even less. You know, what can you say, man? It's the era that we're living in right now. And it, like you said, Andy, it's concerning for the industry. We want this. We want these films to succeed. We want to watch these films. But when you hear things are getting cancelled left, right, and center, you're like, why did I bother? You know? And when a film gets hyped up so much, you spend more on the marketing, and the film comes out and it's trash. You're like, so what happened? Films look too weird. I don't like that. It's not my kind of film. What kind of film do you like? I like gangster shit. I like realistic stuff. Isn't film supposed to be about escapism? That's me personally. Yeah. I like my biopics and stuff, yeah? But the reason why we watch movies as opposed to films is because we want to escape. We watch Star Wars because it's escapism. It ain't real. We watch Marvel shit because it's escapism. It ain't real. Right? But it gives you that level of storytelling and some freedom for you to exercise your imagination. But with a lot of people, they just haven't got that. People will try to make sense out of Mad Max and Furiosa. They'll try to make sense out of it. How is that supposed to happen? How does that happen? Bruv, enjoy the ride. But it just isn't happening anymore.
I think for me, like, as well, I think you've touched on a lot of the points there, but just culturally things are changing and moving on, and COVID accelerated it massively. But there's like, do you not think there's an element as well of like, see back in like the 70s, 80s, 90s cinema, you didn't have immersive online gaming, you didn't have streaming, you barely had like home video. Never mind in the 70s, you know, unless you had like an 8mm projector or something like that, you're not really going to be watching VHS or anything. But now there's just so much choice between streaming, between, you know, music you can stream, all this reality TV, the sheer amount of content. You've got YouTube, you've got specific niche content being created on YouTube all the time. I just think cinema as a language, as an experience, is being drowned out, and it doesn't matter what they do. Its voice isn't being heard, but it's a shame because it's like Blockbuster, it's like video rental, right? That's been gone now. That's been dead, and I get that. That was proper technological advancement that killed video rental. But everybody misses it now. Everybody's nostalgic about it. Netflix has created a show about it. Do you know what I mean? You've got people making businesses, like, people love it. People want to hark back to that, but nobody supported it or helped it when it was dying, and then they want it. I can see cinema sadly going that way, because it's getting to the stage where the only things that will be shown in a cinema are your Deadpool and Wolverines, which, yes, I'm excited to see that, and people will love that. You know, your big one or two films a year, massive things, or kids films where it's just like, God, I need to entertain these kids. Take them all here. Watch Garfield, absolute dog shit. Why are we still making Garfield movies? I don't know, but like, yeah, stick them in front of that, and that's when you'll get a packed cinema. You go and see. I went and see Bad Boys today. All right, it's Wednesday. It's a 2:00 screening. 6 people or something in there. Took my daughter to see If during the holidays. Again, 6 people. To the point that it's almost awkward because there's only 6 people. So like when my little girl talks, it's like absolutely deafening. But there's like, you know, there's 2 or 3 people that might be put off by that. But unless people get behind it and start supporting it, it's going to disappear. And I think there's not. I've been a Limitless member of Odeon this year, and it's changed my view a little bit on seeing things on the big screen. I was someone that used to say you only need to see action films, sci-fi. That's what you need to see in the big screen. Dramas, don't need to see them in the big screen. You know, totally changed my mind on that. It's massively different. Seeing like I've seen like Poor Things, Challengers. I'm trying to think what else I've seen, but I've seen some films that I would certainly in the past have gone, nah, that's a wait for streaming. I've watched Poor Things at home and I still loved it, but there was something about seeing it on the big screen just made it all the better. And when you see something on the big screen, you don't go on your phone, you don't get distracted. It's far too immersive to be distracted. Even when I watch stuff that I love at home, the old phone still comes out the pocket, still comes out. It's absolute habit. We're all addicted to phones, but for some reason when you go into a cinema, I'm not saying everybody adheres to that rule, but people, because there's other people there, will, you know, have that little bit of courtesy and not go into the phone, put it into airplane mode. You get the prompt at the beginning to turn your phone off, you know. And I just think it's such a shame that it'll disappear. And I've been taking my daughter, and she knows what a cinema is. She knows what the cinema experience is. But how many other people are doing that as much, you know? And that the new generation coming in isn't even going to know what a cinema is if we're not careful. And it's moving to it's becoming an isolated, insular thing where you just watch films and stuff in your own home on your own. You're not getting that shared community experience. Yeah. I just think it's just worrying, and it's just the way the world is going. Everything's just getting all about convenience and all about doing it from your home, and I think it's such a telling sign of where culture's going. Modern day culture.
Yeah. For me, right, like example, like going back to Oppenheimer last year, right? It's a shame that we don't have more. So directors of this day and age don't have more clout. So I think Christopher Nolan's one of the last remaining directors where, so last year when he was releasing Oppenheimer with Universal, he was like, yeah, this ain't going on streaming within a month. It's not happening. Like, this will be in the cinema for 3 months. Then after that, there'll be another wait until it comes out on Blu-ray and 4K. And when he initially did, Universal did release the 4K for Oppenheimer, what happened? It sold out. Like, it sold out in US. There was like a shortage. Like, people were selling the 4K, just the normal 4K edition, not the Steelbook, for like double the price and stuff like that. So we can have both. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have the big, long cinema runs and, you know, yeah, it's a Christopher Nolan film, but at the end of the day, it's a 3-hour talking film. Do you know what I mean? Like you were saying, Andy, like we went through this sort of strange, like, thing where we'd only go to the cinema to watch the big action epics and stuff like that. But Oppenheimer it's a biopic. Do you know what I mean? And that made just under $1 billion, I think it was. Yes, it got there with the help of Barbie, and it got there with the help of just being a Christopher Nolan film. But still, I think it's something to take in consideration. My next little question is, do you think this is my opinion, but I'm just saying, do you think there's, like, with the amount of things that we do get, as you were saying, with the reality and the streaming services, and just, do you think there's a dilution in what we're getting film-wise in, like, how good they are? So the quality of the content that we get now, do you think there's been a dip, or do you think we're still getting high-quality films that we were getting 10 years when they were making $1 billion and stuff like that?
No, I don't think the quality is different whatsoever.
Me neither.
I've just got a few things up here. Just last year, Super Mario Brothers made $1 billion. Barbie made $1 billion. The year before, Top Gun Maverick made $1 billion. Spider-Man No Way Home made $1 billion. Avatar 2 made $1 billion. There's still $1 billion. I think Deadpool Wolverine is going to do $1 billion. That's a guess. If I was to put a tenner down on it, I reckon that's going to be our $1 billion film of the year. Deadpool and Wolverine. Could be wrong. I'm guessing. This is where I'm at with. First off, the Fall Guy, because that's where this news sort of started spreading within the film community. I thought the trailers for that looked terrible. I thought the trailers for that the trailers for Fall Guy did zip for me. Nothing. I could have easily waited to watch that at home. I didn't. I ended up going to the cinema. Didn't pay for it. Used the free cinema, Sky Cinema offer that they do. So got the free tickets. But I could have easily waited to go watch that. The marketing for that, I don't think was great. That's just my opinion. You guys might go, I thought the marketing was amazing. That's why I went to watch it. For me, it did nothing for me. So I think that's why that tanked, because it just didn't look that good. It was a good film. I enjoyed it. But I think the marketing didn't do very well for that. Furiosa, I said to you before we went live, Ellis, I think us as film fans are in a very disillusioned sometimes with movies. And I think we're to all us four, and the film fans we talk to, we're a very small minority. We may think we're not, but we are very, very niche minority of fans. There's not many people I know in the real world. I know you guys that are movie fans. Do you know what I mean? I'm one. I've got loads of films behind me. My other friends, not many that I know. Do you know what I mean? I work with a lot of young people as well, younger demographic to me. I've never even heard of Mad Max. Never heard of it. I'm talking like 20-year-olds, like never heard of it. What did you do the weekend, Paul? Went to watch Furiosa. What's that? The new Mad Max. So, seen Fury Road? No, I never heard of it. And I know that's funny, but I think there's a lot of people out there who have not heard of it outside of our bubble. I'd be shocked if, I reckon I could get 50 random people in a room. I reckon over 50% have never even heard of it. Mm. I reckon. I might be wrong. That's just how my head works with it. But, so Furiosa, one of the best films of the year for me. It's a shame people aren't going to go and watch it. And I was shocked. I thought I was going to make money easy in my disillusional little head. But then I look at Dune 2, and the first Dune didn't do it didn't become like the new Lord of the Rings. Like, people say that it's the new Lord of the Rings. It ain't. It didn't do. No. It's not the new Lord. Like, every fucker on planet Earth knows what Lord of the Rings is. Yeah. Not everyone knows what Dune is. So when Dune 2 was coming out, I went opening morning, 9 a.m. IMAX. It was sold out 9 a.m. in the morning. I've never seen that before outside of like a Marvel film. And I remember me and Luke, my friend Luke, you guys know, walking in. They was like, Jesus Christ, like, it's packed. It's 9 a.m. in the morning. Like, people can still taste the toothpaste. And this film's packed out. And I didn't expect that from Dune 2. Not at that time in the morning. I presumed in the later showings it was going to be rammed, but not at 9 a.m. in the morning. So it's weird. It's like people are turning up films I didn't think they would, and not turning up for films that I thought they might have. It's a weird one. But in terms of the films that are doing really well, the Marvel films are all, even though they're dipping down. But when I talk to people in work and just, a bit of a younger demographic, you'd be surprised how sort of in out of tune they are with movies. Like, they're just not bothered about them. Like, they're more arsed. I see them on the break just scrolling through TikTok like drones, like, just not arsed, not bothered. Do you know what I mean? And they'll be like, oh, what, have you seen that new film on Netflix? Have you watched that new film on that Atlas with Jennifer Lopez in? I was like, no, I've fucking no intention of watching that absolute drivel of a movie. But to the outside world, that's the #1 trending film on Netflix. That's the best thing happening in the world at the moment. It's weird. And I think it is a part of us as film fans being a bit disillusioned to what is hip and what is in at the moment, in terms of entertainment, compared to what it actually is in the people who don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I think you make it. I think you've maybe kind of said what I was trying to say better there, and that's what I meant when I said, is the cinema going experience dated now? Is it something that's just not like?
It's just not cool anymore.
I mean, I will say, like, I don't get how big a telly you've got, how much you spent on it, how big your surround sound system is. Nothing beats the big screen cinema experience. Nothing. You do not get the same experience watching a film at home than you do on the cinema. It's completely two different things to me. And like you said, you get distracted. Even I'm actively trying not to go on my phone. I turn it upside down, and I'm like, I'm watching this start to finish. I'm not getting distracted. I will something will distract me in them 2 hours. Whereas I'm watching it at the cinema, the only thing that will distract me is if I've got a bit of an annoying audience around me. But if I haven't, I'm locked in whatever I'm watching for 2 hours. You know, don't touch my phone. I'm not looking to the side. I'm locked in for 2 hours. So,
hey, Matt,
go on.
Oh no, I was just going to ask you. Like you said, you went to a sold out screening of Dune 2. I'm pretty sure mine was the same when I seen it in IMAX on day one. Like I think it was the earliest IMAX show in Glasgow. How much do you think that adds to it when you're surrounded by a community of people watching it?
At 9 a.m., I knew I was in a room with people who were fans of it and wanted to watch that film. It's the same when you go to a midnight screen, and I went to watch the Force Awakens midnight screening. I knew I was in a room. It was sold out. I knew I was in a room completely with Star Wars fans. And the second that, a long time ago in a galaxy, you could hear a pin drop. Like there was not a sound. There was not one distraction from start to finish.
And I think that really adds to it. And you don't, and it's the strangest thing, because I don't mean at the end I want to take them all to the pub and sit and talk to them all night, or talk to them all the way through it. But just that sense of like community when you're watching it, like you say, especially if it's an early showing and you know that it's going to be people like us that are appreciating it. But I just think it feels more like an event. It's like what Tarek said earlier, and like what you said, like you've not got any mates that are like film fans kind of thing. You've got you kind of have company, and that you know their film. You don't have to necessarily talk to them, but when you look around and you're like, that's amazing, and you look and you glance and you see all these other people sitting glued to it, it makes it feel like you're not crazy, and that you're like, look at the people that are so sitting glued to this. This is an event. This is a cinematic event. I'm witnessing something here. This is amazing. Whereas when you're and don't get me wrong, sometimes it can be nice when you're just the only person in cinema, and it can feel nice in another way. But sometimes for me, like today when I was watching Bad Boys, I was like, I was laughing to myself and that, but I actually felt silly because I'm like, I'm laughing and kind of out loud in an empty room at something like, and it took away from it that like there's nobody else here to laugh at it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the whole point of this is to be. You're looking around and you're seeing 200 seats with nobody in them, and it makes you feel like you're a daft for coming to see it. You're like everybody else here. I'm just an old fud now because everybody else realizes that like this isn't cool anymore. You just watch this when it comes out to streaming. Apart from me sitting in this, you know what I mean? It just.
But even when you're talking about films like say like Challengers or Civil War or Monkey Man, I know before they even hit the cinemas that people aren't going to go out and watch them. I know fully well. People don't know them films. I could go ring me best mate now and go, have you heard of that film Challengers? No, never have a clue what it is. But we know what it is because we're in that space. Like, do you know what I mean? Like them sort of films, like them lower independent ones. I just will not make a lot of money. I don't think. Them sort of films, even though we have said, and I think you, Andy, said about Challengers, you appreciate that film a lot more because you watched it on the big screen. But them sort of films, they are running a risk putting them trying to earn box office rather than just going straight to streaming, which is a shame because they're the sort of films I feel like you need in the cinema. Lower budget films to. Really good lower, but the high rated ones as well. But people just aren't going to see them. They're just not bothered.
That's just like The Creator last year.
Yeah,
I fucking love that film. It was actually my favorite film last year. and then when it wasn't even doing that, too good at the box office, but then you saw that it didn't even have that high of a budget, and they managed to make such a bloody good film. And then when it comes out, I'm like saying to everyone, yeah, man, the creator's out on Disney Plus, man. You lot should watch it. Like, what's that? It's like, yeah, so it's fucking right there on the main page when you open up Disney Plus. Yeah, but I don't like that sci-fi stuff. Oh, I don't like it. It's about robots. And I'm like, no, it's got more to it than that. Come on,
I think
it's seriously now. It really feels. And it's becoming apparent that a lot of people are just lacking the imagination. Like I said, the opportunity to exercise your imagination. Like you said, people just fucking
it's TikTok. Yeah, it's
TikTok.
I was literally going to say. I think a lot of younger people as well now. They'll only go watch something for FOMO. If it's like trending on social media, FOMO's fear of missing out. Andy, you're looking confused there, man.
No, I know what FOMO is, mate.
Oh right, sorry. I said it and you were like, hey. So I think a lot of films, the ones that are making a lot of money, bringing people in, is it's all over their social media, and all their friends are talking about it on social media. And even though if they don't give a shit about it, they'll go check it out just to be in with what's trending. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I've seen that happen. Do you know what I mean? I was like, why did you go and watch that? Of course, all my mates were talking about it on TikTok or whatever. I'm like, if that's what it needs to get butts in the sea, then whatever.
This is maybe why Dune Part 2 made like quite a bit of money, because the two main leads in that, you've got Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, who maybe is part of that TikTok like demographic culture. Do you know what I mean? So like when the kids are going on TikTok, they're seeing Timothée Chalamet go a few slides over, or Zendaya down, Timothée Chalamet. Yeah. It might be one of them, do you know what I mean? So, because it's Dune Part 2 making a lot of money is just sort of bizarre for me a little bit. I know it's epic to us lot, but for the wider audience, like my brother watched it the other night. He watched Part 1 and Part 2. He was like, oh, great, absolutely brilliant. I had no fucking idea what's going on in them, though. I was like, yeah, that's fair enough. But I don't know, guys. I don't know. We've spent quite a lot of time on box office. Do need a little bit longer.